Hey guys, it's cold out, like really cold, and it ain't even December yet. It's rough. I figured in the spirit of dealing with this freezing coldness, I'd share a story with you about my first year, 3 years ago, working in a winter shelter here in London, Ontario. It was a super cold night. We had a gentleman show up at the doors in a wheelchair. He only had one leg. Was a senior citizen. Serious mental health issues. And he knocks on the door. I open the door. I say, "Hey, what's up, brother? How can I help you?" He says, "I'm looking for a place to sleep tonight. There's, a foot of snow on the ground. It's freezing cold out. He's been kicked out of all the traditional shelters in town. The only option he had left was to hope to get into a crash bed. Well, crash beds were full. We couldn't have anybody else inside. Fire code and capacity code and all that fun stuff." And he, very nimbly, I might add, for a one-legged man, got up out of that chair and wrapped his hands around my neck and started screaming. I'm not going to say I handled that in the best of ways. Definitely removed the gentleman from having his hands around my neck. And I closed the door. To this day, I hold no grudge against that. And I still think about that day on a fairly frequent basis. You know what? I don't remember how I felt. I don't remember a whole lot from that night, actually. I think I ended up going home about an hour later because it just got under me. What I do remember is the desperation in his face, how scared he was, how he was willing to do whatever he could, whatever it took, to get out of the cold, to not freeze. It's still 3 years later. I'm still shook by that experience. And I moved up from crash beds. I started working in a proper official shelter full time. And we get calls from the police, from the hospital, from other shelters, asking us if we have beds for people. Sometimes they're disabled. Quite often they're senior citizens. Sometimes they're young people. And we have to turn them away. Because the shelters are full. Like full. Crash beds are full. Everything's full. In a city with millions of dollars sitting around waiting to be used for shelter spaces, we're still having to turn people away. What is going on? How is this okay? Christmas is coming soon. I seem to recall Christmas being a time when you're not supposed to turn people away who are looking for shelter. It's, it's not right. For you Christians out there, I believe the baby in a manger comes to mind. Most of these shelters are actually Christian organizations. The Arcade, the Men's Mission, the Salvation Army. And the city is, clamping down on them, telling them they have to hire security guards to push people off their front steps, and that they have to relocate in the middle of winter, which means shutting down operations for at least a few days. It's an experience. That's for damn sure. I wish I could justify some of these things that we have to put up with in the unhoused community, but I can't. I can't. Meanwhile, there are places like Sanctuary and the House of Gas and other organizations that are begging for permission to help, and we're just being ignored. How is that okay? How is that the Christian or the humanitarian thing to do? I don't know. Just something to think about as, it gets to colder nights and people are getting more desperate. When you're wondering why that guy is sleeping in a tent on the sidewalk or a sleeping bag in your doorway, maybe consider the fact that that's the only option they got. It's either that or jail. And you wouldn't believe how many people actually do think that way. Hey, you know what? I should get arrested so that I have a warm place to sleep. That's no good. How are you supposed to get a job as a criminal? I can tell you firsthand, having a criminal record and trying to get a job ain't easy. It took me almost 10 years before I could finally say, hey, yeah, I had a criminal record. But, it's in the past now. What if I had to go to jail to stay warm tonight? Well, that criminal record's not in the past anymore. Suddenly it becomes very active and very present. It's a scary world out here. It's scary for the businesses and the homeowners that have to put up with this. It's scary for the people that are having to spend the night risking frostbite and illness and injury or disfigurement just to be warm. 2 years ago we had a lady blow herself up outside of a shelter just because she wanted to stay warm and she had no other options. We have people lose fingers and toes and arms and legs. They get sick. That's the reality of sleeping out in the cold, out in the wet, out in the gross. I don't know. It's been a long night. It's been a frustrating night. And it ain't gonna get any better. Not yet. So, maybe write your city councilor. Maybe write your MPP. Let them know. We need more options. We need them now. We need them today. We need them yesterday. I am shivering. I am freezing out here. My hands are so cold. My videos are going to start being filmed indoors at my gas hut because I can't do this video filming out in the cold anymore. But, yeah. Just something to think about. We can do better. We should do better. We need to do better. For our seniors, for our children, for our friends and family. I don't know. Just sobering thoughts on a Saturday morning. Stay warm, everybody. Have a Merry Christmas or whatever. Happy holidays and all that jazz. Because for some people, a happy holiday is a distant dream.